tuned for the Joan Quinn Profiles. As an editor for Andy Warhol's Interview, the Los Angeles Herald-Examiner, LA Style, and Detour magazines, Joan covered the social set, the Hollywood hotshots, the international art scene, the mysteries of food, the excitement of travel, and the fabulous world of fashion. Joan continues to find creative people on the cutting edge who make things happen. Here's Joan Agajanian Quinn.
Hello, I'm Joan Agajanian Quinn, and welcome to the Joan Quinn Profiles. In the studio is actor Ray Stricklyn and producer Boris Krutonog. Author-actor Ray Stricklyn has been in hundreds of films, hundreds of TV appearances, and he's won hundreds of awards. He tells all about his life in his new book, Angels and Demons. It's his autobiography, which is published by Bell Publishing. He divulges secrets from the Hollywood of the 50s, 60s, and 70s. Ray was born and raised in Houston, Texas. Ray, you went right into the theater from high school?
Immediately from graduation. I knew even in high school that even before, that I wanted to be an actor. And immediately got cast in a little theater production of O'Neill's Our Wilderness.
Right in Houston?
Yes, when I was 16. And my desire and ambition never wavered from that day until years later.
That was great, but did you spend a lot of time in Houston in the theater?
Yes. Oh yes, I worked several years at the Houston Little Theater, and then had the great good fortune to be one of the young people who helped form the Alley Theater, which is now one of the foremost theaters in the country.
Well, the Alley Theater has an excellent reputation.
Sure does,
fabulous. They do a lot of startup plays, right?
I was at the very first meeting. We sent out penny postcards.
Isn't that great?
And the response was very good, and it's been going ever since. And that was like in 1949 or something,
it was
48.
So phenomenal that something just started like that. Did they just change? Did they go from venue to building to building to building to where they are? Or?
They've had 3 venues, yes. They started in a small dance studio on Main Street, and then it caught on, and they bought an old fan factory building and built a charming arena theater, and eventually, like in 1970, I believe it is, they opened their huge complex that they now have.
But they had a lot of backing. I mean, the people really got into backing it and raising money for it.
Oh yeah, huge fundraiser.
But it is good for people to hear all across the country that you can start a theater in a little warehouse or someplace like that, and look where it took you.
That's right.
It took you to films, I guess.
Well,
is that where you went next?
No. I couldn't wait to get to New York, so I went very early when I was 17 to New York the first time. And the very first, which is important in my life, the very first Broadway play I ever saw was Tennessee Williams' The Glass Menagerie. And after you read my book, you'll find out why that was important, because he figures a great deal in my life later.
Tennessee, did you become good friends?
I won't say we became good friends, but I did know him, and I worked for him for a brief period, not as an actor, unfortunately, but in my early New York days, I worked for his agent, Audrey Wood. And she got me after working for her, Tennessee needed someone to help him with type script revisions on Cat on a Hot Tin Roof. And so I'd meet him at his...
You worked on that?
Yeah, well, I didn't write it, but
you worked with him?
I typed.
Did you?
Typed his revisions, yes.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, so.
Well, but then eventually, sometime in your career, you did a one-man show.
Oh, well, that was 40 years later, yes. And I played Tennessee, and it changed my later career in life. So.
But did you draw on all the things that you had seen him do, or
not really? I was so young and innocent. I didn't have that much. All I remember is he had a crazy cackle that he would laugh at outrageous things, and at the wrong time, it always seemed to me. But
But one thing you said was you were innocent. Were some of these things going on around you about about his life?
No, I was a little wary of that at first because I was pretty naive, and but when I was around him at that time, it was at the height of his fame and success, and I saw none of his haunted side, which came later. And so I only have fond memories of those. I was only worked with him about a month, I guess, off and on.
But the thing is, you were in movies from the 50s on then, say.
55.
And you were absolutely gorgeous, which people don't like to say gorgeous, but you were a very handsome, handsome, handsome man.
Dorian Gray.
But really, did it start going to your head? People were telling you how handsome you were?
No. I don't think most of us believe those things about ourselves. We always look at someone else and say, God, I wish I looked like that. But I don't, I was certainly never aware of it. I remember as a baby, as a kid, and I had long blonde curls.
I did read that in the book.
I remember being called, quote, beautiful then.
Right.
And at that time, it meant a great deal to me. And then when they cut all my curls off, I was heartbroken because I no longer felt special. You know?
But at that time, a baby, it was cute. You were in movies during...
It wasn't cute at 25, believe me.
Being beautiful, but handsome. You were very handsome. And being in movies with James Dean.
Well, I wasn't in any movies with James.
But I mean, you were working at the same time that he was. And you had the same kind of looks that he had.
Jimmy and I knew each other in New York before he became a star, and we used to compete for the same roles all the time.
I would imagine you'd be up at casting.
And we became, in fact, Kazan, when we were both auditioning for Tea and Sympathy for Broadway, I went in first and told Jimmy I'd meet him later. And about 45 minutes later, he met me at the Cromwell drugstore in New York and said, Kazan thought I was you. He said, you were just in here.
See, that's
I wish Kazan had cast me in the East of Eden instead of him.
That's what I saw. I mean, some of the photographs that you showed me earlier, it looked like you were a Jimmy Dean, a young Bobby Darin. You had that kind of look that maybe it was just a 50s look.
Well, maybe. I don't know. But he was a remarkable
He was
actor.
A great actor. Yeah. Could you see that he was destined for stardom?
Well, no, you couldn't see that then.
No, because you were the same.
We were both in the same boat. We were struggling. We worked, we made $5 an hour testing stunts for a CBS game show called Beat the Clock.
Oh, of course.
And they would put us in rubber sweatsuits and douse us with torrents of water or throw pies in our faces or any outrageous stunt the producers could think of, we'd try out. And we were grateful for the $5, you know.
You were very truthful. I read several different things in the book really quickly, and it's a wonderful, easy read, may I add.
Thank you.
You were very honest about what was going on and say, in the 50s and 60s, was there a silent gay world in Hollywood?
Oh, yes, I think definitely, definitely there was. And while I was very confused about my own sexuality at that time, and it was unheard of to, in the movies, for you to openly say that you were gay. And so that the studio publicity departments were kept very busy covering up our little indiscretion.
Oh, yes, but you had a fling with Joan Collins. Was it during
Well,
those
I said
years?
I was confused.
Excuse me.
No, I did. I became thoroughly. I was under contract at Fox, and so was Joan. And I remember meeting her, and she said, "Oh, come by. They're shooting my bathtub scene on Rally Round the Flag Boys," which she was doing with Paul Newman. So, of course, I couldn't refuse that invitation. So I went by the soundstage, and sure enough, there she was in a bubble bath, looking gorgeous. And so we dated a few times after that.
I'm sure she was anxious to date you. You were starring in movies then, and you were very handsome, and she likes great-looking people.
Well,
she's great-looking.
She was great-looking, still is. In fact, I think she looks even better today.
I think she looks great.
Yeah.
So the publicity departments were always kind of quieting things down.
Well, if you were indiscreet, yes.
So like Rock Hudson
well,
type
yeah,
of
Rock
thing.
was a very, I mean, it was certainly known within the community, the acting community, of his preferences, but it wasn't certainly generally known to the public at all, you know.
So that the studios did do a good job of keeping things undercover.
They tried, yes.
Did they ask you, and did they ask Rock, here, two extremely handsome guys, why you weren't married, why you weren't married? Were you asked those questions a lot?
No, people were a little, my family asked, but not, no, the studios were, at least I never was confronted with it unless I brought the subject up, which I never did, of course. I found it was no one's business. And so I lived a very quiet life.
What about jump from the 50s, 60s, jump to the 80s and 90s now, having to deal with the same kind of problems? Is there an underground gay world now in films, or during those times?
I suppose there is still now, but it's certainly much more open, thanks to
Do you think it's a positive move?
Oh, I think it's positive. I still personally prefer not knowing, anyone knowing. I don't think it's anyone's business unless you choose to tell them.
Right.
Which I would never have openly come out if I hadn't written this book. And the only reason I did was because I couldn't tell my life story honestly without mentioning that facet of it. So How long did it take you to determine that that's what you had to do? Did you want to write this book for a long time? No, because I thought, who would be interested? I'm not a world-famous actor. But I had had some bad news health-wise at the time, and I was trying to figure out, I thought my life was ending, and so I wanted to figure out what I had done right and wrong in my career and life. And so I started it as therapy, and the book, never dreaming it would be published. And lo and behold, a friend of mine showed the first draft to a literary agent. She snapped it up immediately, and she'd sold the book within 6 weeks. Well, that's unheard of in the publishing
business. So you had
business.
Finished, did you write the whole thing when she took
I had it, well, it wasn't finished, but it was a
in
first draft, yes. So then I went back, but frankly, I thought I'd be dead before
now you have to go out and do all these kind of stories about the book.
Fortunately, I seem to have been spared, and but I wouldn't have been as revealing, I don't think, if I thought I was still going to be here.
But the thing is, there's so many celebrities named in the book, and you're involved with somebody, so to say you're not a world-class star, the life that you led and the people around you are interesting along with you.
Right. Well, I have been fortunate enough to work or know some of the wonderful, great people, and Betty Davis and Henry Fonda and Rock, of course, and George Cukor and Mr. Hunter.
I love Tab
I wouldn't
Hunter.
call him great, however.
No, I love Tab Hunter. I think he's a lot of fun.
Oh, he is. He's a great guy. And I don't know, Elizabeth Taylor. When my acting career stopped for a while, I was a juvenile for so many years. I looked 17 when I was almost 40 years old,
so
and it became a big problem, and I stopped working. And I went into public relations and handled all these big stars, Liz and Burton and Tony Randall and Fonda, etc. And it was during that period that I became to. Oh, and I loved Betty Davis. I played her son in 2 movies, and then I handled her PR when AFI did her big
Oh, right.
tribute.
Oh, I remember that.
And that was my highlight as a
Oh,
publicity.
I probably met you then. That's
Probably.
because we know that we met. But I think if the viewers go out Angels and Demons, you're going to learn how he did the publicity for all those famous stars. And I thank you, Ray, for coming on.
My pleasure.
And don't go away, because we'll be right back with Boris Krutonog. Hi, I'm Joan Quinn, and we're back with actor-producer Boris Krutonog, who was born and raised in Russia. He has degrees in engineering and economics from Columbia University, and he put them to use at McDonnell Douglas Aircraft Company, where he worked in the international marketing department. Boris has worked in many, many aspects, in fact, probably all aspects of the entertainment business. But the thing that's the most exciting to him right now is this cosmonaut astronaut training program. Tell us what it is, Boris.
Well, thank you, Joan. We had this. I've always wanted to be a cosmonaut. You know, growing up in Russia, and you know, like a lot of boys and girls now too. So I thought, and when I left Russia, you know, I sort of took that dream with me, and I thought, like a year ago, my partner and I were thinking, well, what is it that, wouldn't it be great to go and train in the Cosmonaut Training Center? And it was a wild idea, but you know, we decided to follow it and went to Russia, signed a deal with the Cosmonaut Training Center, and it actually is working out. We took our first group
Yeah, but you mean other people besides yourself? You take people there?
Oh, it's a lot of fun.
How many people can you take?
10, from 6 to 10.
And where is it?
It's right outside of Moscow. It's about 20 minutes outside of Moscow, and it really is amazing. It really is one of the it's the eighth wonder of the world.
Is it like just normal people want to go? I mean, people like you, no, not actors, not scientists.
Well, scientists definitely want to go because they want to see the history. But but people who want to have fun, and people who maybe are interested in space or space tourism or space exploration would absolutely enjoy it. First of all, it's a lot of fun. It's a great trip, and you really pick your own level of training.
Oh,
you train with cosmonauts and astronauts.
We have a clip just to show a little bit about what it is, because this is amazing. You're a producer, you're an actor, you've got this Russian entertainment company.
Which we'll talk about. We'll talk about later, yeah.
Good, because I want to talk about it.
Yeah.
And you've put together this cosmonaut training facility.
Yeah.
So let's look at the clip, and then we'll talk, and we'll see. How can they do that? How do they do that?
Well, it's a weightlessness flight. It's called a parabolic flight, where an Il-76, an airplane, descends from 36,000 feet to 16,000 feet and creates artificial weightlessness. Artificial, but really real weightlessness.
Do you have to be in training? I mean, do you have to be in good shape?
No, not really.
You don't have to train before you go on this trip?
No, absolutely not. You have to just be curious and want to have fun. And in addition to weightlessness, you know, you do the centrifuge.
Oh, right.
Which is, again, you pick your own level of participation. You do UVA, which is you do underwater sort of scuba, where there's a Mir, or the International Space Station is sitting in a huge pool, and you go underwater to fix. It simulates weightlessness. So you fix a an imaginary problem.
Are you safe the whole time? Are you totally safe?
Oh, absolutely safe, of course.
And how many hours do you put in this training?
It's a week. It's 5 days. It's really Monday to Friday.
It's 5 days, and all day long?
All day long.
Really?
All
then
day
where
long.
they
You go
stay
in
at a
there, you'll
hotel?
Stay in a 5-star hotel in Moscow.
And then you drive to
And
this?
then you drive 20 minutes. Yeah, it's about, depending
To the center every day?
Every day. And it's you really immerse yourself in the history. And the Russians have always, in many aspects of space exploration, they've been the first cosmonaut in space, the first spacewalk, the first woman in space, the first space
So that
station.
takes me back. Do women go on this too?
Of course. It's a lot of fun.
Do couples go?
We never
Have
had
you
a couple, actually.
Couples would be fun.
But that would be fun.
Do they eat during the day? Or do they have what happens to them?
Well,
do they just put you in a tank and you're there?
It's not a tank. You just you go through a bunch of different activities, and really it gets better and it gets more and more exciting.
And then when they go
towards the
back
end
to
of
their hotel at night, are they
sleep.
exhausted?
They absolutely.
They don't go out
They're tired.
anymore.
We go out to dinner. And,
I see.
But it's a fabulous. It's really for people who have kind of done everything.
Oh,
else
I see.
And are looking for something different and something unusual and
see.
fascinating.
Well, I'm glad that you brought this because I think it's fascinating. And I know the rest of your career has been fascinating too. You've produced a lot of documentaries,
That's right.
Russian documentaries.
That's right. Well,
and do you live here now? And
yeah, I live in Los Angeles.
Los Angeles.
And my company, Russian Entertainment, is called Russian Entertainment Group. And as the title suggests, we do anything that has to do with Russia, Russian entertainment, we get involved in. The documentaries we're producing and developing have to do with Russia, the history of Russian MiG.
How do people know how to find you? How would somebody coming here with a film from Russia, say they've just whatever, or a documentary from Russia, or something in entertainment, how do they know that you're here, Russian Entertainment Group?
We're listed in Beverly Hills. We're in Beverly Hills. And also we have a website, which is...
That's for people like us.
Right.
What about people in the business who have a film that they want you to work? Is it word of mouth? Do people?
It's word of mouth, and
a lot?
also, the people who need to find us, and the word is getting out now more. We're distributing. We were involved with The Thief, the Russian movie that was nominated for the Academy Award. We're marketing it and promoting it. We're working on 3 co-productions. We have films in development in studio, so it's really...
But I learned about the cosmonaut training, and then when I heard Russian Entertainment Group, I thought you were doing just entertaining of Russia.
Dancing, and
that was the kind
Russian,
of
right.
entertaining it was, that you were taking people to Russia for entertainment. But it's a totally different thing, and I can see from your background of working off Broadway, which you did.
That's right. I both acted and produced theater off Broadway, and then I went on to produce films, and then acted in a lot of films.
I know you acted in Red October and
Air America and Star Trek 6 and in Contact and
That's right. But do you play the same kind of role?
No.
Are you cast as that kind of a Russian mean guy?
Yeah, Russian mean or kind of funny guy.
Oh, both?
Yeah, both, actually, mean and funny.
But you weren't trained as an actor.
Not originally. I'm an engineer.
You're a
originally, I was
scientist.
trained as an engineer, but then I was when I lived in New York. I decided to one day. I looked out of the windows of my office, and there was this beautiful women going in and out of some door. And I said, I didn't know what it was, but whatever it was, I said, I'm going to join, become a member, whatever this thing is. And it was an acting school.
You're kidding.
Yeah, so I started to take acting classes in New York.
Oh, you did take acting classes.
And one thing led to another, and I started to.
And
I was actually came to LA to do The Hunt for Red October.
Oh, you did? Mm-hmm. From New York?
From New York.
Did they cast you there, or did you come here for casting?
I came here for casting.
And you got the role?
I came here to audition and got it, yeah.
And how long was that role?
9.5 weeks.
Was it?
So I did my own version of 9.5 weeks.
You did. You did a lot.
Yeah.
One of the things, you do a lot of TV too, I
Yeah.
guess, because they love that character. They need character actors.
That's
We have a clip from Felicity.
Oh yeah, I'm in VIP and Felicity. I'm in 2 shows now. But let's look at
Okay, let's look at that. Okay.
the clip from Felicity.
You got sound system, foods, beverages, janitorial for how many people?
Maybe 100.
I say 200.
All right, you understand we don't have a budget for this party at all.
I understand. You should have disco light, yeah?
We can get whatever we want.
Yeah, I really don't think we need a disco light.
It's party. You need disco light. Now, for delivery, you have beeper?
What, like a pager? No.
You don't have beeper.
Really?
Guys, not everyone has a beeper, you know.
Я тебе завтра позвоню, мы обо всем договоримся.
Beauty. Спасибо тебе.
You, I get you beeper.
Thanks, I don't need one.
You need one.
Right. You know what? There is one more thing, and it's sort of important.
You want girls?
What? No. Do you have access to chocolate?
Do you have to strain to get that accent?
Right, exactly. It's a lot of work for me.
And it's so funny because culturally, you're coming from such a different cultural phenomenon that these TV, nowadays are playing, this contemporary, and it's like you can't figure out what's going on and they can't figure out what's going on, so it's very funny.
Yeah, I think that growing up in Russia really is an amazing background. I think because it's all about relating to people, and you do communicate in Russia. It's all a lot of social gatherings and a lot of you're very socially involved. And I'm an athlete as well, so I grew.
Right, you're
so
handball,
I'm a
right?
handball, yeah. So I grew up talking to people and being in groups, and so it's coming to it's just, I think the bottom line is when it comes down to it, it's all about relating.
But it's so funny because when I was in Armenia recently, it's like people are just so gruff. There isn't that like soft edge that Americans try to do or socially try to do, and that's how your roles are like gruff and mean and tough.
That's interesting. I didn't I didn't think about
It's
that.
just
I'm just me. I just go out and do it. But you're right. I mean, I guess I like reality.
And that's what it is. But you're playing the real role.
That's right. That's right.
And today you played the real role.
Yeah,
Thanks for being with us.
Great.
Thanks
Very
a lot
nice
for
to,
being with
see
us.
you.
And don't forget to write, because we've been answering your letters. If you keep writing to 777 South Figueroa, 44th floor, we'll send you a letter back. See you next time on the Joan Quinn Profiles.